Right, in this video, I'd like to talk to you about why we use organic food on the BBHC program. So let's first look at what organic means. It means it's free of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides. So then what does GMO mean? GMO means it's Roundup ready, which means the plant, whether it be corn, soy, canola, or cottonseed, or so on, is resistant to the insecticide called Roundup, which is actually extremely poisonous and kills all the other weeds. But it doesn't kill the actual plant. But then it does get contaminated by this insecticide, and then you go along and ingest it, and that poisons your body and puts your liver under tremendous stress and disrupts the endocrine system, especially with women who have ovarian trouble. This then spills over into the animal kingdom. So on a farm, these types of Roundup ready grains and other types of feeds get fed to the farm animals. This poison gets into their bodies and then into the supermarkets and then again into your body. So these are things you've got to think about when you're standing in the supermarket thinking that you're going to save a little bit of money buying food that is not organic. Here's something else that you've got to look out for when you're trying to buy organic food. Don't get fooled by the names that they give GMO food. They are now calling it bioengineered food, which sounds very academic and could fool people into thinking this is a really good food and very high quality, which is in fact the opposite. It's a low quality, cheap, high profit for the agricultural industry type of food. Bioengineered food means it contains detectable genetic material, which means it can be detected, but it cannot be conventionally made in nature, and it has to be manufactured in a lab. Here's what else they do is they break this GMO food down so much and they process it so much that it becomes undetectable in the food, and they don't have to put it on the ingredients on the label, which means they can fly way below the radar when trying to poison you for profit. But what they do have to do is they have to prove that they've given you the opportunity to be able to see what is contained in that food. So they put a little QR code in the bottom corner of the label that's almost impossible to scan. And when you scan that, it'll take you to a very complicated website which has all sorts of phrases and codes on it that you are never going to look up. And that's what they depend on. So they can get away with putting the stuff into your food. So let's look at what the dangers are of eating GMO foods. So these poisons get into your body and they mutate your cells. They change your genes, your DNA, and your liver can't process it. So these toxins stay there for years and years and years and start to take hold and start to cause all sorts of damage later on in life when it becomes unprovable that you got this damage from the GMO food that you ate 15 years ago. One would be surprised at the amount of food that has been made into a GMO product. Things like salmon. Never buy farmed salmon. They're calling it sustainably farmed salmon. Get the wild caught salmon. They cannot feed wild caught salmon GMO foods or the hormones that they're feeding them. You can tell the salmon apart by the little white lines in the meat. When it is a GMO farmed salmon, the white lines are far apart, and when it is a wild caught salmon, the little white lines are very close together. Things like eggplants, beetroot, all of these types of things have some kind of GMO content in them if you do not go down to your local farmer's market and actually buy it from the farmer who just plucked it out of the soil or pulled it out of the sea. You have to go to the trouble to find that kind of food, or you'll be sorry later on in life. So if you have been eating GMO foods, There are ways of detoxifying the body. The best possible way of detoxifying the body is obviously by doing our program, but eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables. Things like kale, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, arugula. All of these types of things help detoxify the liver. They are extremely good for the liver. Have your kale shake every day. Like the program says, these are things that are going to save your liver from what the agricultural industry has tried to do to it. So here's the deal with what happens when you do our program, is you get less and less hungry as your cells become more insulin sensitive, which means when you eat something, the cells open up like flowers and they accept all those really dense nutrients and they start to recover. So that's what you've got to do, is you've got to make sure that you're keeping your insulin levels low so that your cells can absorb the densely nutritious food. As long as you're not eating 6 meals a day like you're supposed to do on our program, is eating like maximum of 3 meals a day, possibly 2 and best 1, which means then you have a lot more money to spend on organic food. I hope you enjoyed the content of this video. If you haven't already, follow us on social media, follow us on YouTube, and enjoy your program.